If you've ever built an application that needs to be, well, always on, or serve users across the globe, or just handle more than a tiny bit of traffic, then you've absolutely relied on database replication. It is the bedrock of pretty much all modern, robust software. But beneath this really simple idea of just making copies lies this whole world of complex trade-offs that can seriously make or break your system. So let's peel back the layers and see what's really going on under the hood. I love this quote from Douglas Adams because it just perfectly nails the problem, right? A single database server, that's one of those things that cannot possibly go wrong. I mean, until it does. A power outage hits the data center, a hard drive just gives up, the network decides to take a coffee break, and boom, suddenly your entire application is down. The solution? Well, it's pretty simple. Don't have just one. And that's where replication comes in, keeping a copy of your data on multiple machines. It solves that single point of failure problem, for sure, but it also gives us some pretty incredible superpowers. First, we get availability, so if one server goes down, another one can just take over, no big deal. We also get to reduce latency. We can stick a copy of the data in Europe and another in North America, so users on both continents get a really snappy experience. And finally, we seriously increase our scalability, allowing us to serve a massive number of read requests by just spreading them out across all those copies. Okay, so how do we actually keep all these copies in sync? Well, the most common approach, the one you're going to find in workhorses like PostgreSQL and MySQL, is called leader-based replication. The concept here is actually kind of elegant and simple. One server gets to be the boss, the leader. Every single write operation, every insert, every update, every delete has to go through this one single authority. The leader then writes this change to its own disk and then broadcasts it out to all the other servers, which we call the followers. Now, the followers are read-only. Their only job is to just listen to the leader and apply its changes in the exact same order, kind of like a perfectly synchronized chorus. And right here, this is the first and maybe the most fundamental trade-off you have to make as an engineer. When the leader sends out a change, does it wait for a follower to say, yep, got it? If it waits, that's synchronous replication. Your data durability is super high. If the leader crashes, you can sleep well knowing the data is safe on a follower. But the cost is performance. A slow or failed follower can literally bring all your writes to a grinding halt. Now, if the leader doesn't wait, that's asynchronous. It's blazing fast, but it's risky. If the leader crashes a millisecond after telling the client we're good, that data might be gone forever. So you might be thinking, if fully synchronous is too slow and fully asynchronous is too risky, what do we do? Well, the answer for most systems is a really pragmatic compromise: semi-synchronous replication. It's designed to give us the best of both worlds, pretty strong performance with a really solid durability guarantee. And this isn't just some abstract theory. This is a real line of code you'd find in a PostgreSQL config file. This synchronous standby name setting is basically telling the leader, hey, listen, you must wait for confirmation from at least one of these two followers before you tell the client the write was successful. This gives you that durability guarantee. Your data is on at least two machines, but it avoids the massive performance hit of waiting for all of them, especially if one is slow or maybe in a totally different part of the world. But what happens when the leader actually fails? This is where things get genuinely scary. With async replication, you will lose data. There's just no way around it. Even worse, though, is the nightmare scenario known as split brain. Just imagine a network glitch that isolates the leader. The followers, they can't see it, so they think it's dead and they elect a new leader. Now you have two leaders, both accepting writes, creating two completely different versions of reality. When the network finally heals, you are left with this impossible mess of conflicting data, which almost always ends in catastrophic data corruption. The solution is as brutal as it sounds: fencing, or stoneth, which stands for shoot the other node in the head. The system has to have a way to forcibly power down the old leader to make absolutely sure only one node can ever be in charge. Now, even when everything is working perfectly, that tiny delay between when the leader gets a write and when the followers receive it, we call that replication lag, can create these absolutely maddening ghost-in-the-machine bugs for your users. I mean, we've all seen this, right? You submit a change, you hit refresh, and it's gone. Poof! What just happened? Well, your write went to the leader, but your refresh request read from a follower that hadn't gotten the update yet. So to the user, it looks like the application just ate their data. The guarantee we need to provide here is called reading your own writes. A pretty common trick to pull this off is to track when a user makes a write. Then, for a short period of time, say the next minute or so, any read request from that same user gets routed directly to the leader, completely bypassing those potentially stale followers. After that minute, we just assume the data has propagated and their reads can go back to any follower. Okay, here's another bizarre user experience. You see a new comment on a post, you hit refresh, and it vanishes. What's going on now? Well, in this case, your first read happened to hit a very up-to-date follower. Your second read, though, got load balanced to a different follower that had a little more lag, a follower that hadn't seen that new comment yet. From the user's perspective, it feels like time is moving backward. This weird time travel problem is solved by a guarantee called monotonic reads. It's a fancy name for a simple idea. It just ensures that once a user reads from a specific replica, all their future reads for that session go to that same replica. You can do this with something like a sticky session, maybe based on a hash of the user's ID. This prevents them from jumping between followers and seeing time go backward. So single leader replication is the standard, it's the default for a reason. But for systems that need extreme availability, especially across multiple data centers, we need to look at more advanced models. So let's talk about multi-leader and leaderless designs. All right, in a multi-leader setup, you might have a leader in each data center, say one in the US and one in Asia. This is awesome for performance and means you can survive an entire data center outage. The huge catch, though, is a thorny problem called write conflicts. We'll get to that. On the other hand, in a leaderless model, like the one pioneered by Amazon's DynamoDB, any node can accept a write, which gives you incredible availability. The trade-off? You have to get comfortable with the complexities of eventual consistency. And this right here is the absolute Achilles heel of multi-leader systems. If a user in New York and a user in London edit the exact same record at the exact same time on their local leaders, which change wins? The default, and I'd say kinda lazy solution, is often last write wins, which just picks whichever change has the later timestamp. It's simple, sure, but it means one of those users' changes is silently thrown away. And for a lot of applications, that's just completely unacceptable data loss. So how do leaderless systems handle this? They use a really clever concept called quorums. Let's break this down. Imagine you have n total replicas of your data. To write something, you have to get a confirmation from W of those nodes. To read something, you have to get a response from R nodes. The magic formula is this. As long as W plus R is greater than N, you are mathematically guaranteed that your set of read nodes will overlap with your set of write nodes by at least one. And that overlap ensures you always read the most recently written data. It's pretty cool. And this is exactly how you control it right there in your code. In a database like Cassandra, you can set the consistency level for any query. By setting it to quorum, you are explicitly telling the database, do not return success to my application until a majority of the replicas have confirmed this write. You are consciously and deliberately trading a little bit of latency for a much, much stronger consistency guarantee. Okay, we've covered a ton of ground. So how do you actually put all this together and make a decision for your system? Let's run through a final checklist. This table really just sums up the core trade-offs. Single leader is simple, it's easy to reason about, and it can be strongly consistent, but that leader is a single point of failure for all your writes. Multi-leader gives you that high write availability across data centers, but it forces you into the messy world of resolving conflicts. And leaderless, it offers the absolute highest availability, but its tunable consistency model introduces some serious operational complexity. So, what are the crucial things you absolutely have to remember? First, monitor your replication lag like a hawk. Seriously, it is one of the most critical health metrics of your entire system. Second, if you're using automatic failover, you must have a fencing mechanism, like Stoneth. You just have to. It's the only way to prevent split brain. And finally, you have to internalize that there is no magic bullet here. There is no best system. Every single choice is a trade-off between consistency, availability, and performance. Your job as an engineer is to understand these trade-offs and choose the right ones for your application. And that kind of leaves us with one final big question. Every single distributed system out there is making these trade-offs, whether it was an explicit choice or just by using the default settings. So take a minute and think about your own applications. Which consistency guarantees are you providing to your users? And more importantly, which ones are you unknowingly sacrificing right now?